Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about triangle inequalities. And to start out, we're going to look at the angle relationships in triangle. We all know that they add up to 180. That's not specifically what we're going to be talking about today. Today we're going to be looking at which is the biggest. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is look at these two examples and answer two questions. Which of the angles is the biggest and which side is the longest? Okay, so let's take a look here. If you had to guess, which of these three angles, A, B, or C, would be the biggest? Okay, hopefully you said angle C. Now, normally I don't have you look at things and say, oh, that's one looks like it's 90 or that looks bigger. But in this case, we're just making an exception because we're just looking at this triangle for what it is. Which one's the biggest? It's C. Obviously, A and B are acute, so C, this obtuse angle, is the biggest. Here's a little bit more trickier of a question. So which side is the longest? Okay, this one's a little short. But then this one's kind of medium. And so if you're looking at that, we're going to say side AB, or segment AB is the longest. Now, before we make any conclusions, let's look at the second example. In the second example, I've given you some actual measurements. So which side is the longest? If you're comparing these numbers, you're looking at 6 as the longest. So that's RQ. Okay, so when you look at this triangle, which angle is the biggest? And if you said P, then you are correct. Angle P is the biggest. Well, what we're looking at really is the relationship that all triangles share, that we have when we look at a triangle. We're looking at two basic theorems, and I think that you're going to agree with this, and you're going to see, oh yeah, that makes sense. If two sides of a triangle are not congruent, so I'm looking at any of these two, so none of them are congruent, then the larger angle is opposite the longer side. So, if I didn't know, this theorem tells me that if this is 14, then up here is going to be the biggest angle. Okay, the biggest angle is going to be across from, and that's kind of a wonky arrow. Don't really know if I'm making it better or worse. Probably worse. Okay, so that's going to be across from the biggest side. Well, the other way around would be true also. So if two angles are not congruent, then the larger side is opposite the larger angle. So if we had the angle measures, we could say, here's the biggest, so this is the longest side. Okay, so all we're doing is comparing those two things and saying, if I find the biggest angle, the one opposite, it makes sense. If it opens up more, then it's going to be able to have more of the side opposite of it. So the triangle inequality theorem is just this. The sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the third side. What does that mean? Well, it means if I'm looking at all three sides together, then 13 plus 9 is bigger than 14. So this would be 22 is bigger than 14. So these two together, bigger than 14. Well, also, the other part is true. The other part would be 9 plus 14 would be bigger than 13. So 23 is bigger than 13, and also 13 plus 14 is bigger than 9. Okay, so any two are bigger than the third one. Okay, what about this right triangle? 7 plus 24 is greater than 25. That's 31 bigger than 25. Yeah, that's true. 7 plus 25 is bigger than 24. That's also true. And obviously 25 plus 24 is bigger than 7. Okay, so that's just helping us compare the side lengths in these triangles and giving us an idea of what's bigger than what. Okay, so this is just a general rule. So tell whether a triangle can have sides with the given lengths. Explain. Well, so what we're doing is we're going to test this theorem to say, hey, if it's ever the case where I've got, you know, a triangle that looks like this, and this would be 7, and this would be 3 and 2, well, those aren't going to meet up. Like this one is going to come down, like if this like swung down, you know, it's going to be somewhere along here, and if this one was swinging like a gate, you know, they would swing, but they would never touch. They'd never intersect. And so because 3 plus 2 is not bigger than 7, then this is 3, 7, 2 is not a triangle. Even though like 7 plus 2 is bigger than 3, but 3 plus 2 is not bigger than 7. So we're testing the side lengths of this triangle. So we have to test 3 things. So 3 plus 5, is it bigger than 7? Yes. Is 5 plus 7 bigger than 3? 12 bigger than 3? Yes. Is 7 plus 3 bigger than 5? Yes. So 3, 5, 7 is a triangle. Okay, so that's what you're going to test. I'd like for you to try the next 2 examples on your own, and we'll discuss them in class. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time.